Thank you for joining us for the East Aurora Village Board meeting for May 6, 2024. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take a roll call attendance, please, Sarah. Oh, for crap. So she's starting the recording. You're going to do the roll call from now on.
Yep.
All right. And you're going to sit up here with me.
Yes.
All right. All right.
Trustee
This is-
Lizickis. Trustee Cameron. Trustee Vijay. Here. Trustee Flynn.
Here.
Trustee Raby.
Here.
Trustee Shear.
Here.
Mayor Mercurio.
Present.
5 present, 2 absent.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the village board meeting for April 15, 2024? Moved by Grace, second. Second by Jeff. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the payment of abstract for 5/6/24 for voucher numbers 64711 to 64783 for a total of $170,218.72? Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. This is our first speakers and communications. There'll be 2 opportunities. If you'd like to talk on something, please raise your hand, let us know. And when acknowledged, come on up and give us your name and address and let us know what your issue is.
I think I said this last time I was here, you need a podium. It's very intimidating to just be standing here with the
Freewheeling it
microphone,
like that.
just flailing. Good evening, trustees. My name is Sarah Horning and I'm a resident at 336 South Park Place in the village. I grew up here and I'm proud to raise my 3 children here. They are 9, 6, and 4, and all 3 of my children have severe anaphylactic food allergies. You may or may not know this, but May is Food Allergy Awareness Month in the country, and this month in different municipalities, schools, and around the country, we are celebrating and honoring and recognizing children and adults who live with life-threatening food allergies, which was a good reminder for me to come back to the village board and speak on something that I'm very passionate about. Since purchasing our home in 2014, our family has placed 5 911 calls for food allergy-related emergencies. We placed 2 calls in the summer of 2022 when my 4-year-old son had an anaphylactic reaction to a pistachio and his throat was closing. At the time of this incident, I did not know he was allergic to pistachio, but I knew all of the signs of a reaction based on my experience with my other 2 children who have allergies. I have several EpiPens in my home and I was able to inject one in him within a few seconds of his throat closing. I called 911 and the East Aurora police were at my home in under 3 minutes. The volunteer firefighters were at my home in 90 seconds, and the ambulance was there in about 12 minutes. In every situation like this, the first responders have been exceptional, and I thank all of you who are here tonight for responding. The thought of this situation happening to a family with no pre-existing allergies and no EpiPen on hand is terrifying. I saved my son's life that day because I happened to have an EpiPen already in our household. A life-threatening allergic reaction can happen within seconds of ingesting a food, and in these situations, every second counts. You may or may not know that EpiPens are not over-the-counter medications that can be stocked in homes just in case. They're costly at about $600 a pen, they expire, and they must be obtained with a prescription from a physician. In other countries such as Canada, you can buy an EpiPen over the counter for under $100 and keep it just in case, which is very common for young families as they introduce new or unfamiliar foods to their children. I share this story as background on why I'm here tonight. This is not the first time I've presented this information to this board, although there are a few new members tonight who may not have heard this before. I'm also grateful that our fire chief is here so that he can hear me express my gratitude to him and his incredible department who have supported our family at every call. I'm here to request that the village provide EpiPens to the East Aurora Police Department to equip all patrol cars, officers, and first responders with an EpiPen and an EpiPen Junior in their emergency response kits. Senate Bill S-3247A was signed into New York State legislation in December of 2019 to allow police, fire, and first responders to possess and administer epinephrine autoinjectors. In the summer of 2021, the state expanded this to allow state park rangers to possess and administer as well. Since this legislation was passed, several municipalities and agencies in New York State have opted to incorporate these life-saving devices as part of their equipment, training, supplies, and into their budgets. One of the most notable success stories was the Niagara County Sheriff's Department, who saved 5 lives in a matter of 2 months after they put this into place. The Village of Hamburg and the City of Buffalo also equip police cars with EpiPens, and I think it's safe to say we're better than Hamburg. I'm hoping our village can reach out to Hamburg, Buffalo, or Niagara County to ask logistical questions about how to make this work. When I've brought this up in the past, I heard a lot of reasons why it may not work, such as liability and storage of the injectors at the right temperature. I believe our police are highly trained and responsible for carrying much more dangerous and sensitive items than an EpiPen injector, such as firearms, pepper spray, weapons, and laptops and technology with sensitive data on them. From my perspective, this is an easy problem for us to solve with the potential to save the lives of East Aurora. It seems like the possible good will outweigh the logistical challenges that you may face. I'm willing to partner with the village on helping you figure this out. I also want to reiterate that an EpiPen injector is much different than the availability of epinephrine via a syringe in the fly car at the fire department. The injector is instant and requires no formal training. It could be handed to any resident to administer instantly. When I think of my own children and other children benefiting from this, I envision them at Hamlin Park or playing a hockey game at the rink, realizing they forgot their pen, or maybe a child who never knew they needed one. Having the police show up in 90 seconds with one and saving their life. I've done extensive research on the legal implications, and both first responders as well as civilians would be covered by the Good Samaritan law. As a parent to 3 children with allergies and an advocate for all individuals with life-threatening allergies, I'm hopeful that the village will take this reasonable and important step. From 1997 to 2011, the prevalence of food allergies in the United States increased by 50%. The CDC now reports that 1 in 13 children in the United States has a life-threatening food allergy, which means 1 in 13 children in East Aurora does as well. It also means 1 in 13 children at Parkdale, which is about 2 children in every classroom. 1 kid on every team. An EpiPen always being 30 seconds away from someone who needs it brings me great comfort in the village of East Aurora. Thank you for your service to the board and your support for this request. I believe there are many things that make East Aurora one of the most desirable places to live, and I believe we could be a model for other communities if we took this critical step. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Can I ask you a question, since I know you are an expert on this more than the board, I'm sure. If somebody misdiagnoses a kid who's having some other issue and they inject them with an EpiPen,
There's
What
zero
happens?
danger. Epinephrine is not dangerous. It could be administered to anyone who has the potential for it. It's not a risk that if they were injected, the likelihood that someone's actually allergic to epinephrine is much more unlikely than the chance that they get it and don't need it. Their heart rate would spike. I'm sure an EMT could tell me a little more medically what it would be, but it's something I've talked with our allergist about at great length when I've brought this concern. And anyone could be injected with an EpiPen without causing harm, whether they needed it or not.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Aaron, you concur? I mean, with that, I know you probably weren't planning on speaking on this, but can you tell us what you know
Yeah, I
about?
could certainly put
I mean,
together
that
a
as
little
far
bit
as-
more tomorrow for you, but
Yeah, as far as a Good Samaritan coverage, no training being required.
yeah, so I don't know necessarily how things will work for the police department. For the fire department, all 15 of our EMTs are trained in New York State's check and inject program. That's what we're currently with. That also covers us for EpiPens, so we could assist somebody with their EpiPens. 3 of our apparatus carry check and inject kits that covers both adults and pediatrics. And 4 of our EMTs currently carry check and inject kits in their personal vehicles with their EMS kit.
That's the syringes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a more cost-effective version of EpiPens. It's just about drawing up a syringe that first responders can get certified in, or I'm sorry, EMS can get certified in. With our current EMS plan in this budget year, we plan on equipping almost every department vehicle and our EMTs all with these check and inject kits so that we have more to go around.
Mhm.
So if something were to happen with how, like you said, how life-threatening a allergic reaction can be, with how our plan works for things that are, extremely life-threatening, our EMTs can go directly to the scene. then they have that equipment ready to go with them.
Mhm.
So that's in the works for this next year.
And how does it differ from an EpiPen as far as efficacy and how quick it
It's
acts and that kind of thing?
Really only for trained first responders because you have to draw up a syringe. So,
Like into a vein or?
and
whatever?
yes, yeah, into a needle. And doesn't take more time if you know what you're doing. But it wouldn't be recommended to give a child who's having an allergic reaction, something like this.
Mhm.
It's strictly for EMTs and paramedics.
Okay.
So, but it is the same exact thing as an EpiPen, same drug. So,
And it acts as quickly and
Yep.
is as safe. And if
Exactly.
you do it by mistake, it's
Yeah.
still not an issue.
same thing
You
that would
agree with
happen if
that?
you gave an EpiPen. I mean, there is some contraindications to giving an EpiPen if you don't need it. But certainly having it instead of not having it if you did need it is,
I assume they're
worth
way
it.
lower than the number of people
Yeah.
who are allergic to nuts and that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
But I can have our EMS captains put up a report for you
That'd be
for how
great.
exactly our program works.
Yeah, for the board.
Yep, absolutely.
And then Shane, I know we talked about this last year. Where are you at with this as far as what your guys and
Well,
when they're able to
I don't know if we spoke about this since the last time, but from what I read, there were issues or could be issues with people's heart if they didn't need an EpiPen and got it. If they have heart issues or something else, there could be. I would never supply my department with EpiPens and allow them to give them to civilians to use. That I wouldn't be for at all. Again, the way our fire department has turned the EMS around, they get there just as quick as we do. I wouldn't. It's another. Hamburg, I believe, got something like a $70,000 grant to start their program. So it's not free. It's pretty expensive, as you mentioned. But I prefer to leave the medical side. I mean, we can do CPR and we can hook up AEDs. And we have or the drugs that reduce
Narcan? or-
Narcan we carry, but all of those are less or more tolerant of of heat, cold, things like that than the EpiPens are, to my understanding. You know, officers are working 12-hour days. They get tied up with an arrest and they leave their EpiPen in the car in the middle of January and forget about it because they've got 20 other things they're trying to do. And then there's $600 down the drain. I just, their bags are kept in a climate controlled building. I would be in favor of the police department or the fire department doing it over the police department. I mean, they're spending a lot of money on the drugs already, and they're trained to do that. The Good Samaritan law does have some bearing on this. But if an officer mishears what the symptoms are or does something that a lawyer can turn around, it could very well not save them if something bad happened. And again, the EMTs have a lot more training than the police officers in that realm.
Right, so did Hamburg train? Do you know? Did Hamburg train their officers? They probably had some sort of training program.
I
they were gonna
don't
supply
know,
with?
I don't know for sure how, I'm sure they did, and that's what the grant was for all the training and purchase of the EpiPens.
Mhm. Maureen, can you look into how Hamburg actually does this?
Mhm.
How they got the grant? What's
But
the
I
cost?
also
What the
don't
total
know
cost
what
is?
Hamburg's EMT situation is over
Right.
there. If they only rely on AMR and don't have EMTs, their fire departments responding to everything, that could make a big difference too.
Mhm. And Joe, the Good Samaritan laws in this case?
I've never been a fan of relying on Good Samaritan. What I can say is that many doctors or their lawyers tell the doctors don't rely on that. Which is why you're gonna get sued. People get sued anyways, so you can try, but it's, as the chief has pointed out, if a lawyer can find a way to bring a case, they will. And there are many, many gray areas when it comes to that, unfortunately.
But that,
And I'll add to that, is the Good Samaritan law is if Grace, before she joined the fire department, is walking down the street and helps somebody. When a police officer shows up and helps somebody, well, that's a government agency doing it. And there's
That
bigger,
doesn't
deeper
apply?
pockets with the government agency. So
You could try 100%. So there, in terms of deeper pocket argument, in terms of police officer, you can try because it's not something they're trained under for medical. And, but he is right in that, for example, the EMTs, it's not gonna apply to them because they are specifically trained for that. So if you get training for the police, I mean. I wouldn't recommend the police get involved at all. I will say that with the response times, I'm not sure with the contract, but that will also come into effect as a factor.
Mhm.
Because if we have the fire department that's trained to be there within a certain amount of time and they are within, it makes it less. A lawyer will argue that they should have been, the fire who have trained in it should have been the one giving it. So it provides more liability, unfortunately, for the police to give that service without the proper training and equipment.
yeah, I'd hate for us not to act on something that could actually save a life just for fear of being sued, because everybody's gonna get sued for everything anyway. You know what I mean? So you can't, I feel like you can't kind of make all your decisions based on that. I mean, reasonable liability, right?
Understood.
But I mean, lack of oxygen, you have brain
Unfortunately,
damage in 4 minutes. You know what I mean? So if the EMTs who are volunteers, you know, are getting out of work and trying to get over there as quick as they can, but the police were already circling the community, get there 2 minutes earlier, that might be all we need, right, to save somebody versus not saving somebody. So I'd at least like to have us look into it and see how Hamburg does it. And like I said, not just be so afraid of acting that we're passing up an opportunity to do a good thing. I don't know. How's the rest of the board feel?
I agree.
Sure.
Yep.
I agree to
Yeah, let's take a look.
You can look for some grants to help support that. That'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, it's it, because to Shane's point, at 600 an injector, right, and you're gonna use some, lose some, whatever, right? So it's not just gonna be $1,800 a year. It's gonna be keeping them stocked for the whole year. And then the training that goes with it.
Every
year. Right.
And then you're gonna have the ones that are left in a car or left in a hot car or.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that this is something we should look further into and see if we can't figure out a way to bring it to bear, just because. I mean, our patrolling officers are on the scene in what's the response time in the village, under 2 minutes? Historically,
Usually.
and between 2 and 3 in the town. I mean, they're everywhere fast.
But, I mean, I'll say, if we're tied up with 2 arrests or a couple of domestics at a time, and we don't have a car available, a first aid is kind of second thought, because the fire departments are responding and AFR is responding. So we're not always back immediately.
Sure. Yeah.
Well,
we get it.
epinephrine saved my son's life, so I mean, I'm biased that way. I mean, I want somebody to have it and be there quickly, you know, when something happens, if you were to have another, situation. You know, very important that we have things set up and someone to be there quickly with the epinephrine or an EpiPen or whatever it is.
Right, the more opportunities to have somebody there with the right medicine, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I don't want to be on pins and needles. You know, when you live with a kid who's got a food allergy like that and, you know, they've almost died because of it, you know, it's always in the back of your mind. It's not even in the back of your mind, it's in the forefront of your thing. You know, you're always wondering when's the shoe gonna drop, and you want to have it available wherever they are. Because it could happen at any time.
All right, well, I'll research the number of issues where epinephrine actually causes more harm than good when it's given to somebody who doesn't need it. And Maureen, you're gonna look into Hamburg's process.
Yep.
As far as liability and that kind of thing. And if there's anything legally you need to. look
No,
into too.
we might have to change a policy or two, but otherwise, no, should be right.
Thank you, thank you. Who else? Sir.
Hi, my name is John Trendell and I'm president of the Woodbrook Condo Association. 2 years ago at this time, there was a pothole at the top of Mill Road at Quaker Road. That was after a winter of, this pothole was there all winter. I came to the village and asked them if they could patch that pothole. They said, no, that's the town's responsibility. I go to the town. Town says, no, that's the county's responsibility. I go to the county. County says, no, that's the state's responsibility. So the state happened to, a couple of weeks later, this was over the summer. The state happened to come with to fix a sign. I go, hey, how about this pothole? And they go, nope, that's the county's. So this pothole stayed there all summer, into the winter, all winter again. The next year, an 80-year-old resident of our association took that pothole and dumped in a bunch of asphalt from a bag. Now that pothole's back. And I'd like this time somehow to be, somebody could take care of a pothole at the top of Mill and Quaker. But along that same line is all of the roads that come into East Aurora, which is a great community, like everyone thinks we are. Every one of them is almost in horrendous shape. And as I understand it, Pine is being taken care of in 25 and Maple in 27. So I see they're on the books. But Mill Road, in our case, being from Woodville or from Woodbrook condominiums, we have no sidewalks and the speed limit is not enforced coming down the hill into the village. And it's becoming more and more of a hazard since there's more and more people that live outside in the town. And I'm not exaggerating when I say they come down that hill 50 and 60 miles an hour. Coming around that curve is a dangerous thing. Now, my wife would like to walk up to the shopping center and do a little shopping, and she can't. She's afraid of that because of the not having enough sidewalks. We are in the village and we feel that we should have sidewalks just like everyone else. Along with that, I don't know if the village has this or not, but they should have at least, I think, a short-term and a long-term plan for street repairs, resurfacing and reconstruction. I don't know if you have a plan or not, but in any case, someone is going to get hurt on Mill Road. There's just no way around it, the way they come into that village. And there's an apartment building complex. It's in the village just past us. And they have sidewalks. They have sidewalks all the way to the bridge. And then it stops and then it starts up again at the top of the hill. So I'm asking the village to please consider this. And it's something that everybody else in this village has except us. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Shane, as far as enforcement on Mill, are you seeing speed issues? I know 3 or 4 people who have gotten pulled over at that dip at the bottom of
Yeah,
Mill.
that's a
They deserve it.
popular spot to sit and do radar.
Yeah.
We try to sit everywhere where we get complaints. Everybody at least believes that everybody's speeding on their street. So we put up the speed monitoring signs and we put that on Mill Road quite often. And generally the speeds are nowhere near 50. The average speed usually is about 36. But I'll pass it on to my lieutenants and.
Have you seen more traffic there with all the housing that
Oh, sure.
on Mill?
Sure, there's more traffic. I mean, but with the subdivision out on Mill Road, it's generally a higher percentage of older people that aren't tearing around like teenagers. But speeding's everywhere. We write a lot of tickets for it.
Yeah, I mean, I live on Farallon, so I share your concern about sidewalks. I, would also like to walk places. Biked here tonight. So that's it's a dangerous area to walk. It's always a little bit scary. It's scary in a car when you see somebody walking on that, on the corner with that kind of blind curve going on there. So I agree with, I know we've looked into it a couple of times and there's issues with, where it drops off in the pond and everything. I'm sure you do, because right.
But there has to be resolutions too. There has to be. I mean, nothing, there's something that can be done. I'm not sure it is, but there can be things done.
Right.
So Matt, we talked last time about if there's any chance to run any sort of, you can't do a sidewalk on Mill because of the pitch, right? Is that part of what the issue was the?
It's the From the road edge up into the lawn areas, it's not. There's a pond on the one side of the street where you could put it, so you can't put it there, and on the other side of the road, the front yards are too steep to be able to get a sidewalk in there in the proper place at the proper height.
I don't remember the last time we talked about it. Was there a way, didn't we look to see if there was a way to run something up the back? Like across, we'd have to get like an easement on private property?
Yeah, I looked at it too, and it's just too steep. It's
Too
like, I don't,
steep.
I walk around,
The new steps.
well. I
Steps
went
would be a
over,
maintenance
when
issue.
there was another couple in here, maybe 1 or 2 months ago, and they came in and they,
Yeah.
okay. So, and I went over and I looked and for the life of me, I can't figure out how to, I guess stairs, I mean, but I mean, that's still a liability then.
It's gonna be an ADA problem.
property at the corner of Mill and 28, the back of that property is constantly sliding into the creek. So anything around back that way, it would be, I would think, hugely expensive to be able to put something
The
back.
only thing I could think of is like filling in part of the pond or something, or I don't know, I was like racking my brain trying to come up with a way to put something there that somebody could walk on.
That's it. When the developers built it, they weren't planning on sidewalks.
They were not thinking sidewalks.
They were like, we can fit a bunch of condos in
Yeah,
here and make money doing it. Let's do it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
people weren't, into walking like they are today, and people were, driving around in their cars and smoking cigarettes and not really thinking about,
Well, I assume the developers never had a plan for sidewalks. right?
no, I don't think so either, but it would be very nice to be able to do that. I would love it. We could get something in there.
You know, when someone does get hurt or killed there, it's gonna cost you a lot more money.
Well, it's a county road. It's not a village street.
It's still in the
So,
village, you know.
but-
You just
but-
want
Yeah.
being sued.
But
You're being sued.
yeah, I mean, you do understand like Pine Street, Maple, Mill, those are not, byways that belong to the village. We can't do anything to them because it's not covered by our taxpayers. It's not part of we can request.
Sidewalks, when you repair sidewalks, you build the property on, correct?
Yes.
Okay, then figure a way to do this, and then you come to us and say, hey, we need the money. There's ways, there has to be ways. I mean, highway engineers do this stuff all the time.
Oh, Matt, what would be involved with us at least coming up with an engineering plan on what it would look like? So at least we, instead of us just assuming it's not doable or costs too much, we at least know what's involved.
We would have to contact our engineers to have them come out and take a look at it.
All right. Let's do that.
Where am I getting money from?
How much is that gonna cost?
I don't know.
Can you ask them how much it'll cost? And then at least the board will know if we want to pursue it. I'd like us to at least know what we're working with. Versus just assuming. We can or can't do it.
You want to address the question about the plan for the streets?
Yeah, we have, yeah, so as far as the short-term, long-term planning goes, that's what we have a capital plan. That looks at that sort of thing and says, and Matt could speak a little bit more to the short term. I know you look right year by year and see kind of what damage got done over the winter to different streets. So sometimes that depends on what it looks like in spring. Right, so the priorities can shift a little bit. But certainly, long-term road reconstruction is something we have a very long-ranging, like 10-year plan for.
Public information.
Yes.
Where could I get that?
Maureen, do you know, where does that capital plan
Capital
live?
plan is on the website, but if you email me, I can just send you it via email. That's not a problem, but he has the short-term plan of what streets are paved and things like that. The capital plan is more for reconstruction, like Oakwood, doing the whole thing.
Do we have a short-term plan then?
Matt has a list of the DPW that he uses for when he,
Yeah, so I think.
mills and paves.
Yeah, this summer, we're gonna be paving
There's some-
a section of
Yeah,
Gerard,
it stops-
Hamlin,
stops right there.
and Block Park Place from Oakwood to Maine.
So we have to do some bond, yeah. And then I could go out.
Okay, thank you.
We'll at least reach out to the engineers and see how much they're gonna charge us to give us an estimate on what the project will cost. And then the board can discuss it again and see if that's taxpayer money we want to spend on the quote. Well, we'll see what the quote's gonna cost first.
All right,
All right, okay. Excuse me. All right, we're still in speakers and communications one, first of two today. Anybody else? All right, moving on. We have no public hearings today. Moving on to official considerations. Can I get a motion to refer to the planning commission for June 4th, 2024 for a site plan application for 970 Main Street, Nativity Lutheran Church, Steve Movali, to construct a roof canopy at the rear entrance, the east side to the church?
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. It's referred to the PC. Can I get a motion to approve the Hamlin Park temporary use permit for East Aurora Little Loop for July 29 to November 10, 2024?
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? Maureen, I think you mentioned they need a AED plan that's now standard for New York State.
I'll email him since he's not here.
Okay, so we can still approve this, but it's, do we have to say it's pending their AED plan, or are we just
It's
notifying
pending
them?
it. I'm just notifying them that they need it. I don't believe it's any requirement of ours to make sure they have it. It's just
Legally,
we're
we have
letting
to
them know.
let them know. Okay, and you'll do that.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, moved by Molly, second by Grace. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the temporary use permit for East Aurora Music Fest applicant John Venezia, Saturday, June 8th from 1 PM to 11 PM?
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? Maureen, Shane, do we have everything we need to feel comfortable about approving this?
We did receive the insurance documents that were asked for last time. I did verify that today the part 18 was received by the Department of Health. And all the other documents we have in. So as long as there are no more changes to the permit, if there are any changes of additional food trucks or anything, we need to know now.
Applicant, do you have anything you want to add to your permit request?
I couldn't hear much of the end of what you were saying. Are you talking about other food trucks trying to get added?
Yeah, if you need to add any, we need to know now.
No, I'm not adding anyone.
Okay.
And Aaron, you're good? Okay, Shane, you're good?
I'm good. Aaron and I have been meeting with John and his team, and I'm satisfied with the first aid issues going on, so.
Very good.
Great.
Any other discussion from the board? Moved by Jeff, second by Ernie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations, John. Can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Jerica Hinman, Hometown Market, EA 641 Oakwood and 72 Elm Street, for various dates, from 9 AM to 1 PM?
So moved.
Moved by, Grace, second by Molly. Further discussion? This is over behind Elm Street and, the Wally's parking lot, right?
Yep.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for the Town of Aurora Backyard Bash Concert Series, Thursdays, July 11 to August 29 from 4 PM to 9 PM? Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for the Aurora Ice Association, Zero Riley, for the Classic Corner Sunday Market, April 14th to November 24th, 2024, from 9 AM to 2 PM?
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second.
Sure, Molly, I'll second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion. Now, is this, can I just ask, is this for the entire permit or simply adding the alcohol?
Alcohol.
This is just adding alcohol. They have a permit for the Classic Corner Sunday Market.
So they can already do that.
And this is just yep, they can already do that. If you don't do anything, they still can do that. This is just to add the ability to sell alcohol at the event, which would mean sell bottled or closed as well as opened so people can consume.
My concern is this sounds a lot like what we denied the Globe from doing when they wanted their tiki bar
Mhm.
and they wanted to sell to go alcohol. I feel like that's a slippery slope as much as some of us enjoy the open container exception here in East Aurora that now other towns have picked up. To allow people to sell alcohol to go. I feel like that, I guess, to quote someone else, that's kind of a bad look, right? It gives us kind of a Mardi Gras feel, and I feel like that kind of thing has the nature to change, kind of change the nature of the community, to do that. So that's my concern.
Not to mention, it's at 9 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I don't wanna sound like an old, I don't wanna sound like an old fuddy duddy, but.
Well, 7 o'clock somewhere.
Can we
Yeah.
give it to them that they can sell it closed to like take home as opposed to crack one open there?
You add, Ken,
Yeah.
you can add conditions to your approval.
I mean,
But
it'd be just like going to the store and buying something if they're, right?
To market.
And to take it home,
Right.
as opposed to like standing there and cracking open a beer at Fisher Price at 9 in the morning.
right, so they could sell. Like, I feel like in a farmer's market where they're selling like maybe a vineyard's there selling a wine.
Right,
People buy the wine and go
Take
home
it
and
home.
enjoy it that evening, right?
right.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
usually think farmer's market, pints of beer. Especially when you've got a few hundred yards to the south, you've got establishments that sell anything,
Right.
beer,
Sure.
wine. Why do they need that in a farmer's market? It's not unless they're selling a craft brew, it's bottled, or mini kegs or something that they're selling for someone to purchase, take home and consume later. Why does someone need to get be served beer at
The red
at
solo cup full of beer. that they're
walking
just-
around at
Yeah.
a market with families all over the place? It's not really a,
Is it like a draw for more vendors, like you said, like a craft brew or somebody selling wine there?
Are you asking me?
I don't know,
Oh, I don't know.
just asking the
General
world, I
question.
don't know, yeah.
Alcohol, wine and beer, yeah, so this applicant who they were looking to add to their permit. Sells wine and beer. Including Bloody Marys and Bellinis and mimosas,
Yeah, and that's not gonna work for me.
yeah, you know what, you've got.
draft beer.
You have establishments right down the street, across the street, who just spend a ton of money, pay a lot of taxes. They have a brick and mortar building within a few hundred yards of the place, who need the business. They have someone just roll in and just do it out the back of their vehicle or whatever their food truck. I don't think it's fair to the tax paying, brick and mortar businesses that are struggling and need the revenue. Pay the taxes on these buildings that they've built and rehabbed and. It's just, I don't think it's right at that level.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't think we need it at a farmer's
If
market.
I was one of those other businesses down the street. I wouldn't like it. I don't think I would care for that. I'd be. Cause they're, okay, so they're gonna have their drinks, their beers, their wine, mimosas, whatever. They're not going to these other establishments. Few hundred yards down the street.
Mr. Mayor, if I can just clarify a couple things.
Please,
This is not a farmer's market. There are different rules with farmers markets and liquor alcohol sales that are made on farms
Mm.
locally. They can do some of that stuff already.
Mhm.
This isn't a farmer's market. This is a market with crafts and whatever they want to sell there.
Mhm.
So just to
Different.
clarify
Mhm.
that.
It's even different.
Mhm. All right, well, we have a motion to vote on, moved by Jeff and second by Molly. Well, I'm against it, but.
Well, if they wanna come back and explain themselves in a bit more detail, perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about going to Germany, in the Christmas markets in Germany. They have blue wine and they have, they do have some of that, and they're selling trinkets and whatever. Maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe they could offer some
But the
clarification.
Is once you give the approval, you approve all of it. So even if they're
Yeah.
going for one look right now, when you give that approval, unless you're very specific in
Yeah.
your resolution, you approve all of it.
Yeah, it could open up a whole can of worms that I don't know that I feel comfortable with.
Well, even if they say it's to, I'm gonna bring it home. They have no control over whether I get it and put it in a bag and crack it open 5 steps from
Yeah.
their place. I
sure.
mean, once I. So it's out of there.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor? And all those opposed?
Nay.
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 All right, motion fails. Can I get a motion to appoint Kyle Tech?
Second team.
Second team, you
I don't know. Shane,
That
you wanna
doesn't
say
sound
it?
right.
That's correct.
Not
Tackentine.
Tackentine. Can I get a motion to appoint Kyle Tackentine to the position of provisional public safety dispatcher effective May 13, 2024?
so moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? Now, I might understand this individual is not on the civil service list currently, but they've taken the test.
Correct.
So how does that play into it?
You can.
That's the provisional
That's
part,
provisional.
right?
Yeah.
Individuals who are provisional, they can allow to start the job, but if there's someone higher on the list and they don't score that well, they can get bumped. We're
I
having that-
understand. Okay.
Yeah, and so my recommendation is just to ensure that that person understands who's provisional, that look, this is not under your control, this is
Mhm.
what the state requires, study hard, do well, and there still may be someone.
Well, actually, we do have a town preference list for that position,
You do?
and he is the only one in our town that has taken it.
Oh, perfect,
So
Perfect.
all he has to do is pass.
good, okay.
And he was a former
Yeah,
part-time dispatcher.
Kyle worked for a few years with us as a part-time dispatcher, and then got a new full-time job and didn't have the time to give us, so he resigned last fall. But we had an opening for a full-time position and he was very eager to come back.
That's wonderful.
Very good. Any other discussion? Moved by Kristen, second by Grace. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve a correction of the village budget pay spreadsheet to change the rate of part-time dispatchers to $21.50 an hour.
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the budget adjustments for the 2023-2024 fiscal year?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second. Second by Jeff. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to declare surplus 8 wooden freestanding flower planters?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
By Molly. Further discussion? Matt? What's the deal?
Years ago, we had planter boxes on Elm Street and they were removed after cars kept hitting them because of the parking issues. We were losing parking spaces. And then they sat and we weren't using them anymore, so we didn't repair them. And I don't believe there are any plans to reuse them. So they're ready to go.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to accept new firefighters into the East Shore Fire Department, including Christoph Bittner and Catherine Grace Viget.
I'll abstain.
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? Congratulations. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I hope they vote for you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Let's see, moving on to new business. Kiwanis Pavilion Repair Presentation. Town Supervisor Charles Snyder.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Chuck Snyder, 459 Snyder Road. I'm here tonight on behalf of Kiwanis. As most of you know, every year our Kiwanis president picks a Kiwanis project that he'd like to do. And this year, Roger Pigeon, our president, would like to give the pavilion at Hanlon Park a facelift. This would entail staining the fascia and the rake and the T111 siding and the canopy up above. The support beam, the posts, cleaning up the picnic tables there, doing minor repairs to the lights. They're just porcelain fixtures, so really just essentially just fastening them, or if they're broke, we'll replace them. And light bulbs. Not a big project, but it would, it was a Kiwanis Pavilion, and we'd like to ask your permission if we could do that. And by the way, if you don't tell me the colors, I'm gonna go with the colors that Matt chose, so just so you know. But that's really
No.
about it. If anybody has any questions,
It's not purple, is it?
what's that?
It's not purple, is it? Maureen really knows purple.
It's green.
It's a surprise. It's gonna be beautiful. That candy striping is gonna be beautiful.
Glorious. Good, well, we
Okay.
appreciate everything that
Yeah.
Kiwanis is doing.
Yeah,
Thanks,
no,
Chuck, for bringing.
thank you.
this to us.
We appreciate working together with everybody, that's for sure, all the way around. That goes for, but, okay,
Anybody have any issues?
No, we
All good?
welcome it. No,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. ACES is asking if the village board would like to sign on to help pass the New York Packaging Reduction and Recycling Infrastructure Act S 4246-B/A.5322/B. Thoughts from the board? I think you emailed it out to everybody, correct?
I did, so you could research whatever you guys are interested in with that.
You guys want to take a look at it, and next time we convene, we can discuss if anybody has any feedback?
Sounds good.
Well,
Yep.
somebody has a different idea right now. All right. We'll review it. Moving on to old business, badminton court location discussion. Matt, where's that at right now?
Oh, at the last meeting, it was discussed and the courts were gonna be set up where it would be 3 tennis courts and then pickleball. I'm not pickleball, but badminton and then pickleball at the end. All in line, not badminton side by side and pickleball side by side. So
How come?
you'd like to change it, I just need to know.
What would be involved with changing it? Did
Moving
they
the-
already weld the badminton nets
Yep,
up?
the badminton nets are up. In the design that was talked about at the last meeting, if you'd like them changed. We'd like to get it all squared away because we do have to add some lines to the court for badminton. Paint some more lines on it.
Is there a reason? I don't know. It just seems intuitive to me to keep pickleball on one side of the fence and badminton on the other side of the fence. So they're next to each other. Was there a reason to split them?
It really doesn't matter to me, Your Honor.
They want, or they did.
Does it matter to anybody else?
I guess looking at this, the diagram that we have before us. Putting is this the current, the way they set it up currently?
That
2
is-
and 4 is current pickleball
Correct, yes.
towards the center of the park
Mhm.
and away from residents.
Mhm.
That makes the most sense, right? With the noise?
Yep.
I
So are
guess
they
if-
saying that's the current setup,
But they're looking at C3 and 4.
Yeah.
right?
3 and 4 to
The
be
fence is
possibly
here.
be pickleball, and 1 and 2 to be badminton, to have them on the same side of the fence.
You show me the fence. is.
So the fence is the line
Right.
right
Correct.
across, so the line right across there would be the fence.
That's where the fence is now.
And the question is, should pickleball be here in 3 and 4 and badminton in 1 and 2?
What if our whole issue has been sound? Why
Right.
wouldn't we move them away from it? Make them 2 and 4? I mean, I just,
I don't know.
I mean, they played on last summer, right?
Right, but don't they, when they rotate out,
Did the Parks Committee look at this? Have any say?
We discussed it. We said that we thought this would be the best way to do it.
How it is on this right now?
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to change it, if there's a reason that doesn't work or there's a better way.
The only reason I can think of to put them side by side is the pickleball rolling into the badminton area.
and when they rotate in and out, right? They'd be on the same side of the fence.
Mm.
Well, maybe that makes more sense, you know? I just,
I-
we
I-
want
I
to get pickleball as far away from the residents as possible.
No, I hear you.
I wonder if 15 more feet of air is gonna change the noise.
Probably won't.
I'd like to
I
see us
mean-
put some sort of, mat or some sort of measure on the fence between tennis and these courts. We looked into it, well, we started looking into it. Do we have anything, Matt, do we have anything further on that? I know Jeff was, right, looking into
It's gonna be,
sound deprivation.
the sound
Blankets.
padding is $5 a square foot. To add it to the fencing between the smaller courts and the tennis courts is about $6,000. And to put up the 10-foot high fence at the far end by the track to catch any residual sound, the matting is $12,000 and a $40,000 fence.
You gotta reinforce the fence.
Yeah, the
Right.
fence, we wouldn't, the original fence would stay put. A few feet back from that towards the track, they would put up another fence with much stronger posts that would handle the wind load from the matting being on there.
So 6,000 to put it up on the,
1 and 3,
I
between 1 and
guess,
3, right?
see, north,
So it's between the, here, right?
west.
Here?
Yeah, would it be down the fence goes along the tennis court, right?
Correct, but
The-
if you're gonna move the pickleball courts, I would run it down the fence to the dividing fence and then over so that there's two sides on the existing
Like-
pickleball
like
courts
this, like that.
if they're gonna be side by side.
Yeah, I guess I need to see what you're talking about.
That's,
So if you did pickleball here and here.
He wants it in there too.
So pickleball would move to 3 and 4,
So pickleball here and here.
right?
Yeah.
3 and 4,
Put it.
and then badminton would be 1, 2,
Right.
and then
It'll be right here.
the shield would be along here.
Right.
It would be on the west side of the tennis court. Right? And
Here.
the dividing
Yeah.
fence between badminton and
Yeah.
pickleball.
Well, we have to go this way.
So we have 2.
I am a.
And that would be 6 grand?
You see what he said?
Or here.
Yeah, this section here would increase
Actually,
the
go
cost.
this, because
But
that's
it'd
gonna
be
be
six
pickleball now.
thousand to do this fence here.
If we,
You see that? So the fence is actually along the tennis court. And then there's a couple benches and there's some space. There isn't an actual fence right here.
Oh, gotcha.
So it would go, Matt's saying, put it right here. And then put it right there. And then have these be the pickleball, which kind of insulates them. And then hopefully drive the sound away from those two streets of residents.
And those two sections for, those two sections of matting is 6,000 or 12,000?
Well, it'd be 6,000 to do the long section along the tennis court, and I'd have to get the figures to do the other side.
Yeah,
of the
so
court.
to do all this.
Well, this
So
week,
if
any
he's just doing
changes?
this-
oh, you wouldn't have to do the whole thing
Six,
then.
right, right.
If you went like this.
Whatever, in that case,
I would
Gotcha.
order-
yeah,
Oh, you would?
40,000 wants to add a new fence over here to hold it down.
Will that cause any issues with fireworks? Cause I know the one way would not, but now that it's gonna be would be going that way.
No, because they don't do anything with fireworks on the courts.
Okay. But seeing them is my
Well, I mean,
point.
it's only gonna be
So
6
there.
feet tall.
Okay.
The fireworks are a little
You
higher.
guys do
Is it-
little fireworks.
Is it something you take away in the winter? You put away?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
we take them down at the end of the season. So,
Shane, any concern about the blocked visibility for that
That's what I
little
was,
area?
yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Yes. I mean. The younger people that are going to look for a hiding spot to do whatever they want to do are going to go right to that corner where the fence.
Mhm.
Well, the fences won't even be touching. They'll be like this.
They're not, okay.
No, there's a pretty good sized gap. So it's not like I mean, yeah, if you're driving one way and looking, it'll block your view of if they're sitting leaning against it,
6-foot
but.
opening between the two fences. Perpendicular.
They're gonna find a spot.
Absolutely.
I don't,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was concerned about that too with part of why we moved the basketball court, right, was that you said there were problems there because it was kind of isolated in the back. I feel like if we put a wall up, the same people are gonna be over there
Right.
and less
All right.
visible.
So
All around the outside. Instead of a map, or how much would that be more?
To plant trees, it would take longer for them to fill in. 15 years from.
15 years.
These have worse.
It looked a lot nicer.
The 6,000.
So we got the budget to do it. Do you guys wanna have, Matt draw something up or show us more pictures of it, or you just wanna tell him to go ahead and do the pickleball on the north side and insulate it with the fence in the two locations like we discussed, or do you guys wanna
Well, he
wait
said it's gonna be more than 6 with the 2.
6 to 8 probably, right? I mean, it's not that big 40 foot,
No,
yeah, the big $40,000 fence reinforcement.
Having that second section, it'll probably be less than 10,000 or more.
You gotta get back to me before we do that then. I think I have 6. Just let me know.
So it'll be 6.
We'll take
There might be some
$6,000.
There might be some gaps, but-
Like $6,000 worth of
oh, with the
down.
vets, and wherever it ends, it ends.
Just what is it? Just zip tied to the existing fence, right? Yeah. All right, I'm good with them going ahead with it. I mean, Ernie, you're
Yeah.
the Hamlin Park
Yes,
guru.
I think that would make the neighbors happy, and I think the Hamlin Park Committee would be pleased with it.
Will it? I'm
I
just,
think so.
I'm just concerned about moving pickleball one foot closer to the neighbors without
Well,
talking to
it's
them about it
15
first.
feet. It's not gonna make a whole lot of difference, and you have
15 feet of air.
a sound barrier there.
I mean, we've
Pretty
made a
solid.
lot of concessions
I
here.
think this is
mean,
pretty
We have-
decent, and I think, you got rid
I
of the
think
league
we're all trying to
play,
work together.
we
Mm-hmm.
won't have
Now we're gonna have 2
people
fences.
going out there, leagues going from, crack of dawn till
Right.
sundown, and, we're doing what we can to remediate the problem with the noise. I think it's gonna help.
I'd rather we did something now versus wait longer.
Yeah, we can't wait any
Think
longer.
about it
Summer's,
longer.
summer's upon us. We can't wait. Needs to be done.
So next meeting, I'll have resolutions for you guys to vote on because you'll have to vote on the funds for it and all of it. So it'll be at the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you. All right, old basketball court discussion. We talked about how we had promised when we were moving the courts that we were gonna revert the old one back to green space as a trade-off for the green space we were gonna be paving over. For the new courts. The new courts get used all the time. I see people, lots of different size groups playing and
They love them.
yeah, they love them.
Yeah.
You see, one-on-one, you'll see a 3-on-3 game on half the court. It's kind of great. Little
And we've
kids.
had no complaints
adults.
from over that side of the park either.
Yeah, yeah, good point. Nobody complains about basketball.
Mhm.
The old court, I know, Megan from the parks had said she likes to use it for, floor hockey.
Chalk
It is
drawing,
chalk drawing, four square, whatever. But,
and Kiwanis uses it for their chicken barbecue.
yeah, was it the first Wednesday of June, right? First Wednesday of June, they use it. I still feel like, I personally, I know at the time, we promised the folks who were here that we were gonna preserve green space by converting this as we use up the green space in the other place. So I am still of a mind that I have to be true to my word of
Mhm.
bringing back green space. I mean, if you guys wanted to do a partial use of that, save some of it for Kiwanis in the rec department, I'd be okay with that. But it's
I talked to some of them,
whatever you guys wanna do.
the Aces Garden Club trash pickup. They were more concerned about affecting the roots that are underneath that by ripping it up.
Hmm.
So they were more concerned bringing in equipment in there, driving over all the tree roots would be more damaging than leaving it how it was.
It does serve a purpose.
Matt?
Megan does use it.
Yeah, Matt?
Yeah.
Do you think coming in there and doing, tearing up part of that would hurt roots? Cause we also then have to pay to surface whatever we leave. Right? I know when we put in the track, the almost half-mile track, Aces came and said that we were gonna kill those 5, are they maples?
Yeah.
Down by Griggs, thank you. And I know, Matt, I remember the discussion, you said it's 15 feet away and we're only going down a foot, right?
Yep.
To do that track. And it's been up for a few years and those trees are all fine. And Aces told us, and I love Aces, they're great. I love all the stuff they do. But they were afraid we were gonna kill all those trees and those trees are all thriving. So, there's one big tree near the playground That's the one that's probably most at risk, right?
I can
But how
chat
far
with the tree
down would
board.
you go if you, I mean, it's just scraping it out of there, isn't it?
Well,
Almost?
in order to get grass to grow in a shaded area, you need a little bit more topsoil.
So,
We'd have to Take it out probably 8 inches. And there's a lot of surface.
in 8 inches?
Probably.
Now, if you resurface it, can you just go over the old surface, Matt?
Yes,
I would just do that. I mean, just keep it simple and, you know, it gets used by the rec department, by Kiwanis. It's a place for kids to roller skate, they play foursquare there, it's another option for kids to play. It gets used. I know Megan really is adamant that we keep some sort of hard service for her because she, you know, for her programming with floor hockey and you know, and if the potential is there to damage the roots of those trees by digging down and adding topsoil. I'm in favor of leaving the court as it is, or even reducing the size somewhat if you know,
What did the Hamlin Park Committee? You guys talked about with
reducing the
group?
size slightly.
Did they say reduce the size?
Yeah.
And I know Jeff
We just
Stoll
do
had a
that.
measurement, right? Didn't he have a specific measurement
Yeah, there was an ideal measurement that they needed for.
for floor hockey?
Yeah.
So what if we, and that was actually, I mean, I'm personally for getting rid of like 2/3 of it, but so Megan still has something to use, but I think Jeff's measurement for floor hockey kept about 2/3 of it, only got rid of about a third of it,
I think
right?
you're right. I think it was.
Yeah, it was like
And
Keep
we
2/3.
felt,
50 by 90.
we felt that that would be a reasonable compromise to get back green space and just at least maintain enough of that surface so that Megan has it for the town rec summer program.
And
You
Kiwanis
know,
can use it.
Pilates, chicken, you know, all that stuff, that they have a nice.
So do you
paved
guys,
area to
you
set
guys
up
wanna
on.
go with that reduced, slightly reduced measure? Cause this is bigger than a professional NBA court. Do you wanna go with that reduced square footage that Jeff said and Megan said she needs? And then maybe have the tree board weigh in on where to actually carve it out, where it
Yeah.
does the least damage?
I'm in
Yeah,
favor.
and that's what the Parks Committee recommended too, was the
Yeah.
reduced size. That's where Jeff got the number we came up with Megan.
To have the tree board and the DPW work together to figure out where to trim?
Your Honor,
Yes, sir?
if you wanted to, I think the plan was to take the asphalt nearest the playground area and remove that section.
Yep.
I would recommend putting wood chips back in there instead of trying to grow grass, because it's a very shaded area, grass is not gonna grow, it's just gonna be mud.
Mm-hmm. A lot of kids running back and forth. Right, trampling. Yeah, why don't we, can you meet, are you guys okay with having Matt and Jeff meet with the tree board and
Yes,
making sure they do the least damage possible to
yes.
trim it down?
Sounds good.
No? All right. That's nothing we need to vote on, right? All right,
So we're going with reduced size to the measurement that Jeff gave.
that Jeff and
and-
Megan came up with.
Yep, I have that. And if you're okay with the wood chips, if you take out the far end, if that's what the tree board and Matt agree with, right? I just want to make sure I.
Yeah, well, the tree board will help decide where to take it out to make sure it has the least impact on the tree root system, like Grace mentioned.
We're just peeling back the asphalt, putting down wood chips.
Less invasive, impactful.
Yeah, the tree board doesn't have anything. It's gonna be in the area that we're gonna remove and just peeling it off and then damage roots. But take down the topsoil, sure the run root damage.
I guess I'd feel more comfortable just having them at least weigh in. Why we got them. That's why they make the big bucks. Continued safety discussion for Fillmore and Riley. I know Shane, you and I talked. So the rink folks said, hey, now that the Blue Eyed Baker's opening up, there's gonna be a lot more cross Riley Street traffic at that three-way intersection. So we sent it over to the safety committee. Shane, I know you we're gonna look at it. And then there was an issue with a little girl getting hit by a car or hitting a car. What exactly?
She ran out into the street, and I believe ran into the side of the car.
Okay.
The operator in the car, had no fault
Okay.
whatsoever.
I'm still concerned about it. I mean, we do have to look and see how that, every time I go by there, there's a lot of people, especially when there's something going on at the rink and the Blue-Eyed Baker's open. There's a lot of people going back and forth. I'm not sure what the solution is. I know that I'm seeing more and more as I drive around Buffalo and Western New York. They're not speed bumps, they're called speed humps. They got the sign and everything. It says speed hump. And that means they could plow over it because they're permanent, they're asphalt. Structures that are put on roads. It's just basically more pavement in a wide, low, speed reducing measure. I'd like to see if we could use those, maybe try them out there. I could see those on Sheer. I could see those on Park Place by the Boys and Girls Club. Those are 3 spots that we get a lot of people concerned about speeds. Who knows, maybe Mill at some point too. But I feel like cost wise, it's not expensive. And Matt, right? That's something you guys can plow over. If they got them all over Buffalo now, it's not like it's just in Florida.
Yeah, I would imagine we'd be able to plow over them. If not, we would know relatively soon.
So, Mr. Mayor, that is something from my work in the city I do, because I put them all over the neighborhoods I work with community groups in.
Mhm.
They do have the ones that you can put in when you repave. They also have temporary ones that you can throw in a warehouse at. So if you wanted to try something for a summer, I certainly put you in contact with someone in the city who could tell you kind of the approach they took. Visit the neighborhoods I work in, they put temporary ones first, and then when they repave the street.
Nice.
That's when they had it.
Both
Yeah.
ones, so. They
Nice.
have ones at Bold Town. I think there's a couple different options we can look at over here, though. I mean, crosswalk, stop signs, no parking on the Blue-Eyed Baker side of Riley. I just would really like the safety committee to look at all of the options. And
Yeah.
try to figure out what's best, because I know I was over there during the Aces cleanup and it was chaos. And
Right? There's a lot of people running around, a lot of kids running around.
flying through there. I saw a mom with a stroller go out between cars and almost get creamed. You can't see, there's horrible visibility at that corner there, so.
Oh.
It's an accident waiting to happen.
Mhm.
Yeah, and in reality, I don't see it getting any better in winter when the ice rink's gonna have even more activity and you're gonna have people looking for food.
Right, and
That's-
snow drifts,
Well,
you
yeah,
can't
snow-
see
Yeah,
past,
it's not really any
icy
better.
roads.
Yeah.
Oh, with the lacrosse going now, the lacrosse is super popular. I
Mhm.
mean, it's busy even now with lacrosse when they've got that started.
And I know there was a concern with losing parking spaces, but safety is more important. to me
Well,
than
they have parking
spaces.
now
Yeah.
at their new lot.
Right.
There's-
But they
can
don't
park
have
in-
a sidewalk to get to it.
Right, and if you look at the sidewalk that they put in, leading kind of up to the start of their building, it's farther up because the telephone poles are right along the curb going down. So you could run a sidewalk farther up there, all the way down to the creek. But there's another telephone pole, like basically right on the bridge, right in the middle of where the sidewalk would continue over the bridge.
Yeah.
So I know Matt was talking with the DEC about the possibility of the rink folks building a bridge up over that creek. And Matt, you said the DEC was okay with it, right? Based on the size of the creek?
Correct.
Yeah.
But
So the rink could build a bridge over that and have that lot. You know, people could come right out on the backside of the rink property. Or they could figure out a way to get that telephone pole moved. I don't know what's involved with doing that. But that's all their property now.
Mhm.
But even then, that allows people who park in those 18 spots we added on the west side of Riley to get up to a sidewalk and not have to walk all the way down the street until they get to the rink entrance.
Mhm.
But that doesn't solve all the problems, like the kids darting out into traffic, that kind of thing. I know Shane, you talk about a 3-way intersection can be kind of a false sense of security, right? If you put like a crosswalk there.
Yeah, I mean, I would never be for just a crosswalk. It would have to be stop signs on Riley. But as we see on Main Street, if you don't step out of your car into the crosswalk and you want to cross the street, you're probably not using the crosswalk. That's our biggest issue when it comes to people using crosswalks.
Mhm.
Yeah, they'll just be walking across at Manny's Hardware entrance,
Mhm.
right? At that
Right.
entrance to the parking lot.
Or
They'll just be
wherever
walking
they
across
park.
there, or they'll be coming across that Fillmore.
Right.
But really, with the Manny's building the hardware building, Ace building going all the way down, they're not gonna be crossing anywhere along that. because it
No.
just leads them to a wall.
Right.
So I feel like those are the 2 points where they'll be naturally crossing the street, right?
You're crossing where you're parking.
That's what they do.
Right.
They park and go for a straight line to where they're going.
Yeah.
Right.
But like the people in and out of the bakery are coming from Fillmore, or coming out of that big lot at Ace.
Yeah.
Right? That leads into kind of 2 spots where I feel like most of the people go back and forth.
And you have a population that uses that facility that are young and they don't often think to look, they're. A lot of them are middle school kids and they're just going and they don't really, and they dart out in the street without thinking. And,
Yeah. I
you
remember
know,
having
or
that
just-
conversation with my kids when they were young, and a friend called and said, hey, I saw one of your kids run across the street in the middle of the block.
Yeah.
And I talked to them, they're like, well, the car's gotta stop for me. And I got it, you put that on your tombstone. You were right. That's what I'll say, you were right.
School teacher, when we got the half days and we're going out for our lunch and we see the kids just running across Buffalo Road and Orchard Park, just anywhere. Like not even
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah.
And then they get in the middle and they're not sure if they want to keep going or not. They're, doing.
Well, I
Maybe
think
a 3.
it's our responsibility to make a safe option.
Well, we have to make
Do
it
right
safe
wrong,
because of
and
that.
if they
Yeah.
Use it or not, that's on them, but.
Right. Maybe the
fix it
3-way
As
stop
much as we can now.
to slow the traffic, maybe the 3-way stop is the way to
We're
go.
gonna have to change the park fairly drastic.
For a 3-way stop,
Yeah.
you'd probably lose what? 3
Couple
spaces?
spots on each side.
It's just
yeah.
visibility. I remember
Well,
talking
it's
to the
good for
DOT
exit-
about Main Street by Misters, and he said you kind of need a space on each side so that someone's not crossing in between cars. They have enough visibility. And then on the opposite side, if you did it right at the corner of Fillmore, that's 1 more space there. So really, could probably get away with only 3 spaces, maybe 4.
Yeah, at least 3 on the west side and maybe a couple.
But they do hit to your point, they do have that whole parking lot now.
Right.
So they do have
There's
more
enough
parking,
village
right?
Parking in that area. I think we lost a couple.
So when do you think you'll be able to have the safety committee weigh in on it, and can you include 3-way stop and speed humps in that conversation?
Probably, all 3 of us are here, so probably work at the same hours.
Like by next meeting or 2 meetings?
Yeah, I think
By next meeting, awesome. All right, thank you, Shane.
I had a kind of semi-related to this. I had a citizen call me up and complain about the back entry off East Fillmore, the sidewalk, condition of the sidewalk. Holes or something that I didn't go look. I probably should have. But was complaining about the condition of the sidewalk crossing that entrance to the parking lot coming in behind Arriva's off of Fillmore.
Mhm.
And just I said I'd mention it. So I mentioned it.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Then Maureen,
Matt, you gonna send a notice to the property owner?
thanks for bringing that to the attention. Anything else on this?
Anything?
Was it?
No, I was just at nothing.
All right, second speakers in communications. Anybody else out in the audience want to speak on any topic? Raise your hand. Last chance. Yes?
Hi, I'm Jessica Unks-Weitzel. I know you, Kristen.
Hello.
A time ago. Um,
I'm sorry.
Jessica Unks-Weitzel,
Address.
82 Church Street. I know Matt too, because I used to work with the DPW in the summers when I was younger. So I actually live right by the intersection you're talking about, and I had talked to Grace a little bit about this. It's been unsafe for a long time. And a few things that I see, when you talked about the visibility, is atrocious. It's atrocious turning any way. And my concern is even stop signs won't necessarily help that issue. To me, the bigger thing is really eliminating at least a few parking spots on the side nearest East Fillmore. I don't see people speeding down that road a lot. It's really just as you try and inch out, if there's a truck parked, if you're coming here on East Fillmore and there's a truck parked here, you cannot see any cars coming down that road, no matter how slow they're going. My daughter almost got hit there. 2 of my Girl Scouts almost got hit there because people can't see at the
So
turn.
you're saying coming down East Fillmore, right? Manny's is on your, Ace is on your left
Yep.
and the Blue Eyed Baker's on your right.
Mhm.
Come to that stop sign. And you're saying if a car is parked in that, because they have a little bit of a gap before the parking starts,
The
right?
the gap on the Blue Eyed Baker side
Yeah.
is bigger before the parking starts.
Right.
On the Manny side, it's not enough of a gap. So you can't see past those
And the
trucks.
building comes kind of right up too. Yeah.
You're right.
That's
the
where I'll
corner.
get rid of all of that parking
Yeah.
on the Manny side.
I mean, as much as you can possibly get rid of on that side, I think would really help. I do also think, people talk about kids cross wherever. It's because there's no crosswalk. So if there was a crosswalk, yes, some people always just they'll go from, right from their car. But if there's a crosswalk there even painted, they're more likely to at least try and use the crosswalk.
Mhm.
And for the kids, there is a curb cut. So I always have my kids, if they are crossing, they cross there. If they're not going to use the light, I'm like, at least go to where the curb cut is. If there was some sort of indicator there that that's a crossing space, I think people would be more likely to use it, whereas right now there's just nothing.
Mhm.
So that was just something I wanted to add to the
Sure,
conversation.
that's good. And we could even talk to Blue Eyed Baker because I've seen like delivery trucks sometimes parked in that space on the right too, right?
Mhm.
So maybe that's all part of it, right? We clear out some parking on both sides to open up visibility. Maybe we do a three-way stop, maybe we do speed humps, maybe we do a crosswalk,
Mhm.
right? But we look at all of it and figure out what combination is gonna be the
Just keep
safest.
in mind though, and I'm all for getting rid of parking spots for visibility. But the more parking spots you take away. And the more people that park in their parking lot, that's gonna be more people walking in the street to get to the ring.
Mhm.
So,
But you said they're looking at a sidewalk for that, right?
well, they would have to put it in, and move a telephone pole or build a bridge over the water, which I guess will be $100,000 or something like that.
Mhm.
So I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon.
Okay. But I mean, I know so many kids who have almost gotten hit, and not by darting out. A girl darts out between a car, that's a different situation. I mean, kids safely trying to cross, people with strollers safely trying to cross Fillmore. I've seen people almost hit their adults and kids so many times. So I think it's really important that you take that into consideration. I know people need parking, believe me, on Church Street. They're coming onto Church Street. I know parking's an issue, but it is a really dangerous spot. And even when stuff isn't going on, and then when stuff's going on, forget it. It is
Crazy.
complete chaos. And I want the rink to be there. I want Blue Eye Baker to be there.
Mhm.
We just, as a village, I think have a responsibility to do a little bit better.
Right on. Right on. So we'll have the safety committee's recommendation by our next meeting. Shane, maybe before then you could look and see if even just taking out, just putting a couple cones up for that very first space on the east side of Riley and the south side of East Fillmore on that corner. Maybe take a look at it and see if that's something we could address right now while we figure it out. Please. Thank you. Thank you,
you.
Jessica. Welcome back.
Hi.
We still don't have the thing for you.
Oh, you
Sorry.
didn't do it yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Working on it.
I didn't realize earlier that I could have talked back to you. I am also a public employee. I work in a school district and usually we can't respond after. So if I should have said this before.
Are you going name again?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
We record the whole meeting, so. yeah.
Sarah Horning, 336 South Park Place. A few things. First, I want to echo what you all are talking about and what Jess just said. All of my children play hockey. They also play box lacrosse right now. And I and my entire family have almost been hit by a car several times in the last few weeks, attempting to support Blue Eyed Baker in the middle of a game, run over and get a coffee during an intermission. So I think I am grateful that that's something that the safety committee is pursuing. I wanted to just add a few additional thoughts as I sat and listened to the board discuss the topic of EpiPens, because realistically, I may not be able to come back here for several months, just given the nature of life. The chance of getting sued, I would assume the same chance stands, whether it's the fire department coming and administering and taking a chance that somebody needs the drug or the police. I would assume that the legal responsibility is no different between fire and police. So I would like the board to consider that. To me, that does not feel like a real viable excuse to not do this. Second, I understand and appreciate that police have a 12-hour day and could possibly make a mistake. And I will echo what I said earlier, which is there's a lot of very valuable, dangerous equipment that our police are using every single day, and they are responsible to make sure that their firearms get back safely, that their laptops get closed safely. And I trust in our police, and I know that that's something that they could handle. Finally, Narcan has the same temperature limitations. And so I would love for the village board, when doing your research, that you look at how we currently store and supply Narcan for our police officers and EMTs, and look at the same storage offerings for EpiPens. And I also just want to add, as I was sitting thinking about this, we give camp counselors EpiPens. We give teacher aides who have watched a 30-minute webinar EpiPens. My 9-year-old has a doctor's note to administer his EpiPen. And some children who are given EpiPens and prescribed them have never had a reaction and needed to use them, so they don't know if they possibly will have a heart side effect. They are taking a chance that it is something that they may need to save their life. So if my 9-year-old can handle the responsibility of carrying an EpiPen around the village of East Aurora, I implore the board to consider figuring out how our highly trained, highly compensated professional EMTs and police officers can carry EpiPens. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for open speakers and communications? All right, moving on to department head report. Shane?
Nothing, just thank you for appointing Kyle. We've been vacant the 4th full-time position for a while, and he'll come in very handy for Aaron and his crew. That's all I got tonight.
Thank you. Matt?
Nothing that hasn't already been covered this evening.
Thank you, Matt. Aaron?
Pretty steady month. The month of April, we were alerted to 88 incidents. Crews have done awesome. We also in the last month have added one new interior firefighter. Firefighter Brittany Tanner passed her interior certification, and firefighter Ben Smith passed his EMT certification, which are both pretty serious classes. With the nice weather, we've been taking advantage of it and getting our rope team some training for the summer months. We've actually already had one rope rescue incident out of town, and we are currently working on coming up with a plan to be more present during our special events during the summer. So that's what's going on. And that's it.
Good. Thank you, Aaron. Rich?
I unfortunately have nothing to add. So thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Rich. Maureen?
I'm learning how hard it is to take the notes again after 4 years off, and trying to talk and do that at the same time. So union negotiations have been going on. We submitted the fire radio grant in the last week, and then it is tax season, so my office is full of blue paper, and we're getting those ready to go out for June 1st collection. That's what's going on.
Thank you. Grace?
Yeah, this is probably gonna be an annoying question. Last year when we asked about crosswalks being painted, Matthew, I was told that they couldn't be painted until like late summer because of the temperature. Okay, because it seems like more important earlier in this summer, and I noticed the state already did theirs. Sweet. Right.
You're not annoying at all. Dave.
That's it. I'm just here for safety.
Good?
Yeah.
Molly?
Nothing.
All right. Jeffrey?
All good, thank you.
Ernie?
Also,
And Kristen?
I went to the Arbor Day celebration at the high school. I feel like there's more and more kids every year. One of these years, we're gonna have the whole school out there. But yeah, so phenomenally attended in the rain. So they didn't get to plant the trees that day, but we got to see them. So
Yeah.
that was it. They're actually starting a Christmas tree farm there. So they've got some,
At the high school?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
as a
somewhere-
fundraiser
there.
for
I think
whatever?
it's,
The Arbor Day?
I don't know if it's part of
Club?
the agriculture
Trees
setup.
are-
Yeah.
trees that won't be $125.
Yeah, he said that those were coming. Jeff said those were coming. We got to see the chickens and everything. So it's pretty amazing what they've got going on up there.
Excellent.
That's all I've got.
Very good. Thank you, Kristen. let's see. I, working with Maureen on the CSEA negotiations. Those are coming along. And I met some of the garden club representatives in the circle. And we kind of went through more of the circle actually than I thought. We went through what they'd like to see and what they'd like to, hopefully the DPW to do as their group. Some of the members age, they're getting less younger members who can do some of the physical work. And so I'm trying to find a balance between what they're able to do and what they need the DPW to help do. But we really appreciate all the time and effort they put in year after year to make sure the village really looks beautiful with the pocket park, with the circle. Just all the work they do and all the talent they bring with the flowers and plants. And I learned a few things about what they need to plant there to hopefully keep the deer from just finishing everything off. But that's it. I think before we adjourn, can I get a motion to go into executive session to discuss contract negotiations and legal guidance?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. We're going into executive session. We don't plan on voting after we come out, but thank you all for attending.